It's time for MacBreak Weekly, episode 186. Our panel, Alex Lindsay, Andy Ihnatko, and Chris Breen analyze the latest iPad announcements, including some new applications, deals with publishers, and Amazon putting the screws to Apple. It's all coming up. MacBreak Weekly, next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for MacBreak Weekly is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
It's time for MacBreak Weekly, episode 186 for March 23rd, 2010. Yep. MacBreak Weekly is brought to you by Gazelle, the easy way to sell or recycle the used gadgets lying around your home or office. Don't just sell it, Gazelle it. For a 10% bonus payment for your used gadgets, go to gazelle.com/MacBreak, bonus code MacBreak. And by Audible.com. To download a free audiobook of your choice, go to audible.com/MacBreak. It's time for MacBreak Weekly, the show that covers everything that happens at Apple and a few things that don't. Ladies and gentlemen, the star of our show, Mr. Alex Lindsay from thepixelcore.com.
Hello, hello.
The other star of our show, Mr. Andy Ihnatko from the Celestial Waste of Bandwidth, columnist for the Chicago Sun-Times tech reporter. And the other star of our show, Mr. Chris Breen, the Mac Daddy, the bouffant of all knowledge at Macworld Magazine. Merlin Mann has the day off. Wait a minute. What did you just do? You just did your hair.
No, I just did my scalp.
He's tightening his hair down for the show.
Yeah, got to keep it down.
I think it's very important.
He doesn't want to lose his head.
No. Well, that's one beautiful thing about that hair. You might lose your head, but the hair will not get
lost. It lives forever.
It lives on. It's more than just cuticle material. Many things to say. I guess we're getting close to iPad Day. A week from Saturday, the iPad ships, and now the iPad apps are kind of coming out, right?
Did you get your appointment? Do you have an appointment? Oh, or is it just showing up in the mail?
Do you get an appointment?
Oh, I'm picking mine up at the store.
So you receive in the mail, if you say, I want to pick it up, you receive it in the mail?
Well, I set up an appointment so that I could come in. I think they're giving out appointments. Like I don't think I'm the only one. So this is I think it's like you 300 show up at this time and you 300 show up at that time.
Well, that's smart. They're going to avoid lines. Obviously, they're trying not to have lines.
I think that's
we will suspend one iPad 12 feet above the floor. This is going to be a team building exercise. Any one of you will be out of reach, but if you team up together.
We're trying to build a community here.
I asked for mine to be delivered, even though it's a Saturday. They said they'll get it to me on a Saturday.
Oh man, why didn't I do that?
Well, I'm on the air. I'm doing the radio show. What I'm really hoping is it will arrive during the radio show.
I got a 2 o'clock flight. I decided not to do the overnight because I know that I'm going to be too excited to play with my iPad. So I didn't want to do an overnight because I needed the actual sleep. So I'm going to take a 2 o'clock flight, so I need to get it in the morning.
Oh, yeah, you do. Well, I'm going to ask the obligatory question. Andy, did you get your iPad yet?
No, I do not. I would not even commit to the phrase yet because I don't.
You don't
even
know.
My iPod is still the mock iPod, the wire monkey version of the iPad, where I can get everything from this except for nourishment and love, although it is some sort of a simulation. So I got my fingers crossed. I have my hopes. I have a certain amount of serene confidence that by the time I am on live national network television on April 3rd, I will have a functioning iPad in my hands.
We're getting, I love the fact that now that Steve Jobs answers email, by the way, from a 3.12 iPhone, he hasn't updated to 3.13 yet.
That's the word.
That's the word on the street. So now,
how do they know that?
Does it say? It must say in the email, or maybe I don't know. Must do something.
Oh, someone hacked that or looked at the header.
The header must say it. Yep, sure. That makes sense.
That's how inside Steve Jobs is. For him, 3.12 is actually 4.5.
You know what? Don't you think that's probably exactly what it is? Andy, you hit the nail on the head. Of course, he's running the iPhone 4. But it's all modified to make it look like the iPhone 3.12.
I think it's interesting that Steve is so chatty lately. I think they've given PR, because they've been working so hard for the last decade. I think Steve just gave him a few months off and said, don't worry, I'll handle all the email questions that come in.
From his iPhone.
Yeah, from his iPhone, because it's that good. I just keep snapping out these answers.
I have this vision of Steve at the kids' soccer game, standing on the sidelines going, answering email. So he sent out an email I guess somebody emailed him saying, when's the iPad? Where's it going to be available? He says, and they're always very terse.
Right.
You know, he says, initially at Apple retail and online stores and Best Buy. No word about AT&T. Even though AT&T is the wireless provider. Of course, he was at a soccer
game. At his kid's soccer game while he was typing in, so we don't really know.
We don't know. He could have forgotten.
Exactly.
Well, also the 3G model doesn't come out until the end of April, so does AT&T need to have the Wi-Fi models that are coming out on the 3rd?
Yeah.
By the way, this isn't the first Steve Jobs email to emerge. I guess if you get an email from Steve Jobs, your first reaction is, quick, send it to Apple Insider. Steve was asked if there was a way to get documents onto the iPad through iWork or the iDisk. His response was, yes. Well, hey, you know, soccer game. Doesn't have a lot of time. Got to respond quickly. Steve Jobs, when asked if he should worry about the MacBook Pro refresh, this one went to Mac Rumors. This is actually a great, because this person, could have been me citing this. A Mac Rumors reader emailed Steve Jobs about concerns about how long he's had to wait for the new MacBook Pro updates and Apple's recent focus on the iPad. He wrote, quote, I recognize the need for secrecy, etc., but I'm really losing heart in the lack of vision for the MacBook Pro and Mac Pros. I've been saying that very thing. Not expecting a response, but as someone who has personally switched dozens of people onto the Mac way, this is a sad email for me to compose. Steve responded with a short reply that said, quote, not to worry, end quote. You want to read the tea leaves on that one, Andy Ihnatko?
It is unwise to tip the vessel of wisdom, young Padawan.
Worry not. Worry is
I tell you or not.
He should start doing it. He should start putting his verbs at the beginning of the sentence. Worry not would be good. He could start sounding. He's getting more Yoda-like as it is anyway.
There is no try.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it's more like, you know, there's always going to be a MacBook Pro refresh. There's always going to be a new version of this, that, and the other. And I don't think that. I think he's just basically saying that. You know, I'm not going to tell you a date. You know, I'm not going to give you a feature list. But if you're asking me the question, are we canceling the MacBook Pro product line or downgrading it to a Power PC processor? The answer to that would probably be no.
No. The unofficial Apple weblog got one too. A reader of the TUAW says in an email that was reported from Jobs, a reader asked if there was a way he could transfer his Google Docs to his iPad through iWork or iDisk. Jobs said, yep. No, I'm sorry, that was yes. Yes. Then another email, Julio R. asked Steve, can we expect a universal mailbox on the iPhone? Steve's answer was, yep.
I'm thinking that Steve Jobs needs to talk to this guy because he's just leaking all kinds of information. And I don't think they understand that this is how Apple works. Look, shut up.
Shut up.
Come on.
Whoever this Jobs guy is, got to stop.
You're fired.
No, we found the lead.
We have people to take care of this. We have a PR department. We have Phil Schiller. Shut up.
Now, you know, I got to credit that Steve Jobs answering this stuff because, I mean, if it were the PR department, they're not going to say yep. They're going to write a paragraph at least.
They'd also find a space at the end to mention that Apple kicked off the computer revolution with the introduction of the revolutionary Apple II in 1976.
Right. By the way, the one of the emails this was last week where the Mac Rumors reader asked about Google's Picasa. That was from an iPhone 3.12, but the email about the Yep email from an iPad. The header said iPad.
He just changed his iPhone suffix.
He's messing around.
He just changed the signature. Say from.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's the signature says, "I just wrote this on my iPad." It's just a signature.
Written on an iPad. Well, because he wants people to think he's that kind of a big shot that might have access to early hardware.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like the tab on the back of your jeans, erasing like the 36 and writing in a 32.
I did that. How did you know cute. I did that?
You know. I just say if Andy doesn't have one, there's no way he has one.
When I bought my Lexus, I bought a GS 300, and they had the 400, and the salesman said, I just bought. You can buy the little badge that says GS 400, and I just took the old one off, put the new one on. I said, oh, thanks for the suggestion.
Yeah, I put a Ferrari logo on the front of my Toyota Sienna, and it really fools a lot of people.
I didn't know Ferrari made a van.
Oh, yeah.
But evidently, new studies show that people are happier if they're clear that they make more than the people around them.
That is true.
I saw that.
That is true. That is, we could do a game on this.
So I'd like to have a Lexus 800, even though one does not exist. I simply tell people that they made it custom for me.
I would like to do a game where maybe next week we could do this. We come up with three Steve Jobs responses, and one of them is true, and you pick which one is true.
Great.
Yep.
Ask a question, and then we'll do an answer.
What is the magic? Two of them could be magic 8-ball answers. Signs point to positive.
How much obscenity can we pepper these responses with?
Do you think Steve would swear?
I don't think so.
What do you guys think? This is.
He usually waits for the 11 p.m. show before he breaks out the blue material.
That's right, the blue stuff.
He's come to the realization that it's more of a resort sort of crowd, like at 7:30, at 8, even 9.
The comedy stylings of Mr. Stephen Jobs.
Yes.
What do you guys think of the Palm thing? It's not strictly an Apple story, except I guess you have to say that the iPhone is what killed WebOS and the Palm Pre on Friday.
Are we surprised?
Friday, Palm admitted that their losses were double what the analyst expected, 61 cents a share, something like that, and the outlook was bleak for the next quarter. And two Wall Street analysts, downgraded Apple's stock price, Palm's stock price, to 0.
That's got to hurt.
Can you have a zero?
I'd love to have that as a goal. How much are you going to write for us this week? My goal is 0. I think that's attainable.
Said, we believe that the target price for Palm is nothing.
Wow.
Great. And this is in the era where we have mortgage-backed securities that are still trading for a few cents, which is just death in a puddle. And yet, it's like, but Palm.
Palm's really dead.
Yeah.
I feel bad. It's terrible news. Why do you think? What happened? John Rubinstein said, well, if we just come out on Verizon before the Droid did, we had a chance. But I think that's silly.
I think if they come out 2 years before the iPhone, they would have had a chance.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it?
They would have had a chance. Also, the problem with developing new phone OSs and new phone hardware like that, it's a rich man's game. You have to have enough money in the bank that you can take a shocking loss for a couple of years while you build it up and build your developer community and build your user community, and finally get enough information back from a few 100,000 users that you can build the thing that you hope that you wouldn't have been able to make first shot. Palm just did not have that kind of a war chest. If you look at all the devices like that over the past 5 years that have been in their ways revolutionary, and they're all been backed by people who had the ability to simply say, you know what, this is a pet project. We're going to keep it on the market until people realize how cool it is. The Amazon Kindle being really the case in point. I mean, that was a crazy billionaire pet project. Again, the crazy billionaire Jeff Bezos also being able to afford his own private space fleet. So you know that this thing is going to be sold for as long as it takes for it to become a success. And now we found out that pretty much from all indications, their big plan was to not so much be in the hardware business, but be in the electronic distribution business. Now that they're also going to be doing a Kindle version, an iPad version of the Kindle app. So that's the sort of waiting game you can play when you have so much money coming in from other sources that you can do that sort of thing. Palm really, the best thing they could have done a few years ago was simply focus on hardware and sell to anybody who wants to put any OS on the thing. Be the HTC be like HTC, only not quite so Eastern European in design. They make great hardware. It's just that they just didn't have what it takes to bring WebOS to a really, really good point easily.
I think that when we look at who I think are the leaders at this point, I mean, I think that the coming leaders of the smartphones, which is Google and Apple, what you're looking at is two companies that are making an indirect play. The phone is simply a tool. It's not the end product. Their main business is something else. And they're using this as a way to leverage that. And I think that is very distinct, and it gives them a key advantage because they don't have to make money directly from the phone. Necessarily. I mean, they may be making money, but they have a lot of other ways and they have a lot of other things funneling in. When all you are as a phone company trying to do that from a startup position or a near startup position is, I don't think we can do that anymore.
I don't know if you guys had this feeling, but when I saw Palm come out and try to make this attempt, I kept thinking BOS. And so when this fell apart,
which they bought. Did they not buy the BOS? I believe they did.
Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, okay, they were cursed. They built their company on an Indian burial ground. And, not a good idea. But no, you look at it, some perfectly lovely stuff, except that when you look at who you're competing with, not so good.
Is it Apple completely, or is it Android? In fact, there's a rumor floating around that Palm might try to save itself. This doesn't make any sense, by the way, but putting Android on their Palm Free.
Yeah, no.
I don't know that it makes no sense. Again, I think that there are a lot of people reacted really, really well to the Pre as an object. And I think that
it was beautiful.
If they decided to open it up to other operating systems, I really think they could have something there. I've read that article. It's one of those adorable, completely unsourced things that you really just say, okay, well, that's just something that I just found in my backyard as a news item. But it really would, if Palm is going to succeed, they're going to have to do stuff like that. And I think Android is a really good avenue for them to go.
Right. There's CTIAs going on right now, and there's a lot of Android handsets, a lot of Android handsets right now coming out. So I think that Android is starting to look like a worthy competitor for the iPhone in a way that nothing else has been.
Absolutely, it's the most. They've made a huge leap forward in maturity over the past 6 months. Android
2.1 is great. Yeah.
2.1 is fantastic. It's still not in the same class as iPhone, but it really did clear over that good enough bar. And the fact that you can get a wide range of different kinds of hardware is a selling point that the iPhone can't deliver. It brings its own problems, of course, but still a lot of people like to be able to have exactly the sort of handset that they want. And actually, that sort of splintering of the Android market could also help out Palm, because a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, you kind of want for there to be just one kind of reference Android device that every piece of software is going to run on. Now, I think that the Android community has sort of come to the realization that that's never going to happen again.
They got 2,000 apps in the WebOS store compared to
170,000.
170,000 in Apple, and I think it's 20,000.
That's not as big a deal as I would initially think. I think that people don't want to be able to get every single app that might be available for every single situation. I think that so long as there's at least 2 really good apps, and just pull a number out of a hat, like 12 different categories, you're covering the interests of about 75% of people out there. So long as they can Twitter, so long as they have a good access to documents, as long as they have a good media player and a couple others, it's not important that you have the ultimate Palm Top app for doing a Gantt chart.
Well, but I think the danger there is the difference between Walden Bookstore and Borders, or Amazon, is that on Amazon I get anything. Borders I get most of the stuff. Walden Bookstore, the one you get at like a lot of times I just don't bother to go in because there's not going to be anything I want there. And I think that the problem is they have a lot of the top sellers, and if that's what you're looking for, that's the case. But I mean, one of the apps that I'm going to recommend from the iPhone today for the thing, it is one of the most obscure things. I Googled it. I didn't even know it existed, a week and a half ago. I Googled it, and there's like 4 applications on the iTunes store that do it in different ways. And I was just like,
is it better to have that, to have 170,000 applications but not, kind of not know that they exist, or to have 2,000 really great applications and know what's out there? I remember when the Mac first came out, I remember there was a Macintosh store on Terraville in San Francisco out in the avenues that had every program. They had every Mac program on their shelves. It'd be silly to even contemplate that today. And there was an advantage because you could see what was there. I mean, that's what we used to say, isn't it, Andy, in the old days of the Macintosh? Well, it may not have as many apps, but as long as it's got the app you want, who cares?
Yeah, because your car keys are always in the last place where you look for them. Same thing. You stop looking for apps when you find the one that you really, really like. I don't care that if there are 3 good word processors for a certain platform, and the second or the third one that I find is absolutely perfect for me, it doesn't matter to me that on Windows or any other operating system there might have been 30, 40, 50, 60 more. So obviously more apps in the App Store, more quality apps in the App Store is better than fewer, but I don't think that that's a metric that's the end-all, be-all for whether a phone or an operating system is any good.
Yeah, I agree. I had a conversation like this over the weekend. I went to a buddy's house, and he has an Android phone, and I had my iPhone, and we're talking about getting him onto the Mac eventually. But, of course, we had to get into a match over whose phone was better and who had more stuff. And he said, okay, well, let's compare the apps that we actually use. And we sat down, and really we have a comparable set of applications because, as Andy says, you need a core functionality on your phone. And we both have that. So, yes, it's great that Apple has the bragging rights that they can say we have a bajillion apps on this thing, but how many of them do you need? And eventually, does that work to your disadvantage because you can't find the stuff that you want because there are umpteen copies of application X?
Well, I do think that one thing that becomes important, and I think that Apple needs to address quickly, is with 170,000 apps, the hardest thing is finding good ones. And being able to search and really know whether, for instance, the recommendation system is so crazy on the...
we need to improve that. That really is a problem right now.
That's a huge thing because, I mean, right now, if you see a lot of bad recommendations on a current version, yeah, you are less likely to buy, and you don't really know. And if you see a bunch of good ones, you don't know if it's going to be good. And now I have to admit, at $3, a lot of times if I see relatively a lot of good responses, I'll go ahead and buy it. At $5, I have to really see an overwhelming... $5 or more, I have to see an overwhelmingly good response to buy something. And then you see... I mean, like the new SimCity. I saw, SimCity. I was like, oh, I kind of like to, see what SimCity's like on an iPhone. Then I saw so many bad reviews on the front page that I was like, well, maybe I won't. Even though they dropped the price, I just don't know whether it's really crashing or not. And there's just not any way to update it. It's not as fluid. It doesn't feel as fluid as like Amazon. Amazon, I trust fairly often.
Isn't that funny? I wonder why. Because Amazon's the same situation, isn't it? Where there isn't much control over.
It seems to sort better.
Well, you can vote on the
people vote on them, and I think you can still vote on them in iTunes as well, like this many people. But I think that what you see first is based on people's ratings. So what you if 0 out of 4,
that's as somebody pointed out is a real flaw because people aren't rating them until they, in most cases, delete the app. So it's really ratings are biased towards the negative, almost always. That's when you are asked to rate the app, unless you actively go out. When you delete an app from your iPhone, that's going to totally bias it.
Yeah. So
I also have to wonder about the audience that's rating these things. If you look at iTunes ratings, yeah, exactly. You got 11 and 12-year-olds rating these things, and maybe you can tell by the spelling and the amount of punctuation. But it's harder to do things on Amazon. To create a review, it's more of a process. So people who are really passionate about something one way or the other are going to tend to do it, and you can tell if the review is well written. And maybe because of the platform, it causes people to really think about it and offer intelligent reviews instead of, OMG with 25 exclamation points.
Every game is great, by the way. And by the way, did you see the statistic? One of the analysts came up with that Apple has sold $500 million in iPhone and iPod Touch games in 2009.
That's not bad.
500,000. And it actually increased online game sales by 4%. It sold so many that the total was up 4%.
And and 1/3 of that is going to Plants and Zombies.
I did my usual news thing on KGO this morning, and I managed to sneak in a reference to Plants and Zombies. So that's what does that mean? That means I have a problem, doesn't it? We need an intervention. I wake up at 3 in the morning. I play Plants and Zombies. I've beaten the game, and I'm still playing Plants and Zombies.
I'm on my 3rd round. Halfway through the 3rd round. I'm in the horrible fog area.
I hate the fog area.
So I'm in the 3rd.
But you know why? Because you eschew the lantern and fog blower.
It's just a waste of the space.
You need another slot, dude. I know, but you got to see what's in the fog. I have 2 extra slots.
You don't need to see what's in the fog. You can totally win the game without seeing what's in the fog. It is a little bit more stressful.
So the shortest verse in the Bible, Ihnatko wept.
Oh. That had nothing to do with you talking about Plants and Zombies. It was
how have you managed to
unrelated crushing sense of depression inside?
How have you avoided that game? I don't understand how you've managed to avoid that game.
I have. It's like I'm like a basketball coach for some places. I've got exactly so many slots in the lineup. I have only 1 slot available for a game. It is still Orbital. I'm very happy with my current provider of gaming distraction. I'm not looking to switch providers at this time.
My strong suggestion is that you not pick up Plants and Zombies.
Do not put. I have a reverse choice. Do not put this on your iPhone. That's all I have to say. Do not.
It is bad news. Bad news.
It's just. Well, here's the deal: is you have to control yourself. It's just like being around a lot of sweets. You just have to learn that I will only have 1 sweet in the day, not 10 of them.
Is there Botox for Plants vs. Zombies? I need that. That just paralyzed my hand, so I can't.
Exactly.
Have you played this game yet, Chris Breen?
No, I have not.
Yeah, don't.
No, okay.
We thought we had a problem with the tower defense games. This is really a tower defense game.
On steroids.
On steroids, yeah.
It's way funnier.
No, because I get games mostly based on what my daughter wants to play. So far the zombie stuff, not so much. But Doodle Jump, yes. Although she loves Pocket God, which is maybe the cruelest game I've ever played.
That is so mean. You tilt people off the island, you throw them in the volcano.
Yeah.
She loves that. That game, isn't that game 18 plus? Because there's something on my iPhone that every time I try to update it says this is 18 plus.
Well, probably because it's a horribly cruel game. You take these little pygmies.
Yeah, only adults should be taught cruelty.
What is this game?
Yeah, exactly.
What's it called?
It's Pocket God.
You don't know about Pocket God? No. It's not really a game. I mean, I guess...
No, you just torture these little creatures.
Yeah, it's like It's like The Sims for mean people.
Oh, yeah, you're encouraged to do terrible things. Throw them into volcanoes. They have a new version out that has a plug at the bottom of the ocean, so you can take them down, and they go down the drain. And then there are these spiky things, and you have to put them down these ramps before they're impaled on the spikes. They have poor hygiene.
Wow. So it's interesting because I guess I didn't really enjoy the game sufficiently because I didn't understand that you were supposed to be mean to these guys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
no, I was trying not to, and it's very boring if you're not mean to them.
No, you have to be. If you're nice to them, nothing happens.
Nothing happens. So, you have to make bad things happen.
You have to make
a very twisted view of God. That's all I have to say.
Actually, they do have zombies in it, though. On one of the islands, if you bury them and then cover them with dirt while they're alive, they turn into zombies, and then they come and they feed on the other pygmies.
Is there like a New Testament version of this game where it's mostly about love and mutual respect? It isn't so much about punishment and flames.
We all just
you just go around healing people and forcing people to sort of objectively reconsider their actions, their responsibilities towards the people.
Who would want to play that? That's the problem,
and that's why we have the world we do.
That's the problem.
Erica Sadoun, writing for the unofficial Apple weblog, has an article on 9 ways Apple can improve the App Store. We were talking about improving the review process. Right. Hers are kind of more from a developer's point of view. Mm-hmm. Offer in-app purchase promo codes, freebies, in other words, because we often, when we get offers to review, we'll get these promo codes.
I have to admit, I don't quite understand how to use them, and I end up buying them thinking I'm going to get the promo code.
Well, it's also a problem for the developer themselves because there's tax issues and
right.
It's weird. So she says that should be changed. There is now. This is one of the things that just got added this week. You can now give gift cards. You can gift apps, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
Next time you log into your iTunes store and you play with the App Store, you'll see the iTunes Store terms and conditions have changed, and it's the gift section. However, gifts cannot be used for in-app purchases, in-app subscriptions, upgrades, or the iPod Touch OS. Some gifts. I mean, this is kind of crazy. Number 2, other device-specific iPhone archive files, IPA. I don't know what she's talking about here. Something to do with downloading the app as a standalone on your computer, then syncing an IPA.
Well, I do have to admit, I'm getting more and more into the situation where I really want some of my iPad or my iPhone apps to work on my laptop. Like, are you having that? Like, there's a couple of them where I just go, "Wow, this would be really great if
there is a Plants vs Zombies for the desktop." Just so
no, I don't want to play Plants vs Zombies.
Just so you know.
No, I don't.
Come
play. That's
on,
not where I play it.
You know you want to.
It's not where I play Plants and Zombies.
Create application families and introduce something called Complete My App. This is interesting. So if you, this is for the iPad developer. So you have an iPhone version and you have an iPad version. There should be an inexpensive upgrade that says, "Would you like to get the iPad version for $5 more?" And have a family,
right,
of apps.
Yeah, and it would also be good if I could, like, if you if you're the fan of the apps of a certain developer, to have a much more intimate way of figuring out that oh here's another one that Bloody Zombie Games has just come up with a new pinball game. Great, I'll take a look at that.
4%. That's what I say. 4%.
4%.
If you're an affiliate for Amazon, you get 4. If I put a tag directly into Amazon,
affiliates
would be a huge thing.
Affiliate codes.
I mean, of course, it would cost Apple some money.
They're selling so well. Do they really need this?
Well, it would make it better. They'd sell more. Because people would have a reason. More.
Are we agreed? Remember, Apple said for a long time we don't make any money on music. It's a push for us. We sell iPods with it because the costs of the downloads are sufficient that we don't make any money on music. Are we agreed that they make money on the App Store?
I think they do.
30% of $5 or
I bet you there's a couple they lose money on bandwidth because they're like really, really big. But when you look
99 cents.
The 99-cent ones that are, I mean, a lot of these are, I mean, some of them are 20, $1.99 and it's a 24 megabyte file. I don't know how, but I bet you they're making some money on them.
I wonder if Apple puts pressure on developers of larger apps to charge more. In fact, does Apple in any way, they're going to have the same model for the iBook store where you set the price, we take 30%. And I'm sure there are conversations going on about what prices would be okay. But, I mean, they say they're not going to.
The thing is that
it's a totally different economy in books because you already have like an 80-year-old pricing structure. You already have a lot of hands that are already in the till, and you already have an industry that's sort of used to setting their own prices, as opposed to, I think it might be different if and when the iBook store is opened up to independent authors. Like if I want to put content on the iBook store, if I'm just sort of recycling old content, I'm perfectly fine with you getting like a bundle of interesting things that I published and then repolished for 99 cents per download. But if I've just given an author a six-figure advance because she's just slept with somebody really, really famous and she's willing to work with a ghostwriter in a hotel room for about a week to get something out quick and dirty, then maybe I'm going to be less inclined to sell this sort of thing cheap.
Right. Well, and I'm really curious as to whether we would end up with like almost a podcasting style thing where people could, for instance, upload books that would be free.
That would be great.
Or magazines that would be free.
But you talked about that in the music store too. You always wanted indies to be able to do that, and they really never did. I mean, CD Baby's the only way to do that. They never really came up with a good way for indies to
selling. I'm saying, like, if I want to put up a magazine, if I want to put up a free magazine and just go for eyeballs, and it's all going to be advertised, I'm going to go for eyeballs. I should be able to put it up and let people let them go.
See, Apple doesn't do that in the App Store. Well, I guess they do.
Yeah, they could have free. So
it
would be great to see if I hope that we see free
books would be great.
Free magazines.
Is there free music? There's no free music.
See,
there's not free music, and that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
Well, except the stuff that Apple promotes.
They have the monthly, the free song of the week. Yeah.
But I think that's part of that's a function. Oh, go ahead, Andy.
I'm sorry. No, I was just going to say that they already have so much of the infrastructure for that kind of thing built in. I've been looking at the iTunes LP format, not the thing that you call iTunes LP trademark, but the technologies that are behind it and how they are actually just open web development technologies that you can use to build just about anything. And I've built a couple of magazine sort of things that work inside the iPad simulator. It would be very, very easy so you start off with that ability for anybody to develop a very, very media-rich experience of a new version of a magazine, a new version of a book. You also have the iTunes store that is very, very good at simply identifying an RSS feed and alerting users that there is new free downloadable content. I don't see any reason why Apple, on a technical basis, couldn't simply say, if you have iTunes LP content that forms this standard that has already been preset, using this framework that has already been published, and you simply stick this behind an XML feed and simply point it to the iTunes store, we will allow that product to load on an iPad or on an iPhone, just as though we're an ordinary podcast. That could explode everything because it would allow guys like me to simply put work out there. We won't be able to make any money off of it, but sometimes you're just happy enough to publish it while still preserving the experience of selling a DRM book if a major publisher wanted to monetize their content that way. I really think it's just take this thing you already have, put a wire from here to here, and suddenly you have a brilliant new product that would just as a reviewer, I would have to say, you know what, I'm going to have to write a separate piece about this because this has got me more excited than just about anything else I've got on this device.
Yeah, because I think that they do that with everything other than music, and I think that's partially just a function that people in the music industry haven't really gotten it. They haven't really gotten that they can make as much money or more, as much money or more money through other things than they're making through their music. The thing is that there's, it's such a small segment of what most people do as far as making money with the music, but they keep on, charging for it. But that's the way that business model works. But if you look at all the other things in the iTunes store, everything else has some kind of equivalent, whether it's video or or the periodical stuff or the applications that has a free part of it. I think it also keeps some control over how much people are going to charge for books if there's a lot of free content out there, without having to tell them what they're going to charge. And I do think that Apple's approach to this agency approach, I think this scares Amazon a lot. Do you guys think that this is a real issue for Amazon?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I think that Amazon has tried to put the lid on it and basically do what Apple did with music and say, no, you can only go to this level, and that's the price, and that's how it's going to be, because it's easy for our customers. And we all bought that when Apple told us that about music. We was like, yeah, go Apple. Now Amazon tries it. We go, no, that's terrible. How can you possibly do that, Amazon? And now that the publishers can simply say, well, Apple's not doing that, and we as publishers can decide the price of these things, we're going to go that way. And Amazon can't do a whole lot about it, except with the independent publishers who they can hold the fact that, well, we actually are selling your real paper books. And I don't know that you want us to just get rid of all the books that we have in our store, because we can do it, and we have. So I do think that Amazon
does it seem like Amazon gets into some real big bad wolf kind of situations when they start doing that to little book sellers?
Well, I think they do, and I think the fact that they're not able to pull this off with the big publishers, so they've lost with the big publishers, and now they're going after the little publishers and trying to strong arm them. I don't think it plays well for them. Plus, Apple, I'm sure, would be more than happy to get anybody and everyone, who's a real publisher to come into the iBook store simply to kill Amazon.
Because all Apple's asking for is that they just say you can't sell it for less somewhere else than you're selling it for us,
right.
Or you have to give everybody else the same deal that you're giving us. And that's all. They just want parity, and they're not trying. There's no price control. You can charge $80 for your book if you want. Although I think Apple does think there's going to be some downward pressure.
Right, but then what happens to Amazon when they insist with the small publishers that, okay, no, you can only sell for $6.99,
right?
And Apple says, well, that's less than we're going to do it for. So you guys make the decision. Do you want to work with us?
No, but if Amazon puts the downward pressure and says it's $6.99 only, then Apple just says, well, you just have to sell it for $6.99 in the Apple store as well.
Right.
That's all they care about.
I think, though, that Amazon sees the handwriting on the wall. They know that right now that they have a proprietary format, they have by now they fortunately have the ability to deliver content to any device that their customer has, but they still have a locked up model that doesn't allow a lot of interaction with other book readers and book reader formats. I think they kind of know that they're going to have to, that if they simply say no, they're no longer the only store that allows you to sell content. That there are now other places that anybody that can burn an EPUB version of a manuscript can now sell in lots of different bookstores and maybe even get a broader audience than on the Kindle. I mean, if anyone who doesn't think that Amazon is very, very worried about what the iPad and all those other tablets represent, you should go to the Amazon store, the Kindle store, and see that every single ad that they've put in, even the ones that simply appear on Amazon.com, they don't simply tout the benefits of the device itself. They always say it works great in bright sunlight. It's got a battery that lasts 2 weeks.
Right.
Without saying the I word at all, just remember that we got things going on here too.
I'm gonna issue a target stock price for the Kindle, $0. $0. I'm not gonna say it's dead. I'm just gonna say $0.
I don't think it's dead. I think you're going to see an end to the Kindle DX, which now makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. I think that you can sell an ebook reader for $250, $260 that gives people an experience that they value more than they would value the iPad experience. I think that one of the companies that is the best beneficiary of the iPad is going to be Sony, because they make the best cheap ebook reader on the market. The Sony Reader Pocket Edition costs $199. I think they actually dropped the price a little bit even recently. And it's e-ink display, battery that lasts forever, and it's small enough to fit in a shirt pocket, even though it's bigger than the screen you'd get on your smartphone. So this is going to be a lot of people who are attracted to electronic books, but don't want something as big as a Kindle, and certainly don't want a real computer like an iPad. They're going to look at this device. They're going to see that Sony says, buy your books wherever you want. We will play it for you because we support every DRM. We support the most popular DRM in every open book format under the sun. They're really well positioned to thrive in all the cast-offs that are going to be created in the wake of the iPad.
Did you guys see the Neo Phony WePad? Have you seen this thing?
No, it's based on the Nintendo Wii.
No. It's an Android. It's 11.6 inches, 1366 by 768. It has a webcam, 2 USB sockets, flash card reader, WWAN modem. Good graphics. Battery's supposed to last 6 hours. Who knows? Anyway, it's going to be based on the Android. It's the first one that It's the first one that I looked at. And of course, it looks a lot like an iPad, but it's the first one that I looked at going, wow, that could actually be. I mean, if they can get it off the ground, that's the first one that I looked at and went, well, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, but so there are two problems there. No hint at a release date, no hint at a price.
Yeah,
and you can also tell that these aren't photos of actual working mock-ups. These are just either CGI renderings or they have a simple engineering sample, like a fit and function mold test that they've then photoshopped a hypothetical screenshot on.
Well, there are. I mean, clearly there's going to be some Android-based tablets.
Oh, no, there's going to be lots of great Android-based devices. Many of which have already been actually shown off. There's one device whose name escapes me that has a really cool hybrid display that will work extremely well in bright sunlight and was clearly either intentionally or fortuitously designed to be the opposite of the iPad, where it has plenty of USB ports. It has not just a webcam, but a cool rotating webcam, so you could use it for teleconferencing, or while you're taking notes during a class, you could just rotate it the other way around and be shooting like your professor giving his lecture while you're taking notes on it. It was working fine during a video demo a few weeks ago. I still don't know what the pricing is, but this is clearly that kind of device that that is a lot of people are going to thrive to if they don't like the closed model of the iPad. 2010 is going to be super exciting for anything that's even remotely related to a slate. So that's why the devices that are actually working, that they aren't being sold yet, but they can actually show you a working thing, excite me a lot more than, hi, we spent a day in Photoshop, and now we're proud to announce how great our new tablet is. It's like great.
And it seems like unless you really have a compelling argument, you're really going to have to live in the 400 and below level. I mean, going head to head with an iPad, you're just going to get compared to the iPad constantly. I mean, that's the thing, that you have to be astoundingly good or be $400 and low. And man, getting those components for $400 is quite a thing.
Well, that's like the iPod market when Apple owned the iPod. Anybody who wanted to do anything in that space had to shoot low until the iPod Shuffle came out, and then that was, well, sorry, you can't do that either. So, yeah, I think you're right. I think you're looking at the $150 to $250 space, which Apple isn't going to occupy yet, but, you know, someday.
We've got Kindle and Nook apps for the iPad. We're going to talk about that in just a second. Also, some more publishers signing up and more iPad applications out there. Actually, that's how I started the show. We're going to finally get around to that in just a little bit.
We're thinking about it.
We're thinking about it. But before we do, I want to talk about Gazelle. Really happy to have Gazelle as a advertiser on the show. This is the place you go to get cash for your gadgets. We all have extra gadgets, extra stuff.
I'm building a box.
Yeah, that's what you do when you go to Gazelle. Go to gazelle.com/MacBreak. Now, this is fun because this is a sponsor that's not going to cost you anything. In fact, this is a sponsor that's going to send you money. If you go to gazelle.com/MacBreak, you can get cash for your gadgets. You got stuff lying around, enter it in and see what it's worth. I'm going to put in iPhone on the front page there, and then it says, well, which iPhone do you have? I have an old 2G 4 gigabyte, let's say. It's not going to be worth very much. They ask you a few questions about condition. Does it make a call successfully? Free of water damage? Rate it. It's in fair condition. I do have the original stuff. You get more the more you have. Then they'd say how much they're going to pay you, and you add it to the box. Now, they send you a box, postage paid. You put all your gadgets in the box, send it to them. They send you a check. How do you like that? They even have a great graph on the site that says how the value has changed over time. And notice, if you've got an iPhone 2G, you might want to sell it. The price has dropped in 2 weeks about $10. I can get you a little more money, though. If you go to gazelle.com/MacBreak, they're going to give you 10% more right off the top. At checkout, use the bonus code MACBREAK. You get 10% more. Some other reasons you want to look at Gazelle? Well, of course, we all have a lot of extra gadgets. It'd be great to get rid of those gadgets. It's also a great way to get your gadgets recycled. If they can't pay you anything for it, if it's not worth anything, they will recycle it for you. And if you've got a cause, whether it's Girl Scouts, a Little League team, you're trying to raise money for your local school, Gazelle will set up a Gazelle page for your nonprofit. Better than a bake sale. Less expensive than expensive fundraising events. They remove all the personal data, by the way, from your gadget. They guarantee no item will ever end up in a landfill because of their recycling. The service is free. You get to keep 100% of the value for your charity. I've already gotten emails from people who have set up Gazelle accounts for their school and so forth, and it's just a great way to do it. You just tell the parents, look, we know you got extra stuff, recycle them, and we get the money. GAZELLE.com/MacBreak. The amount you get depends, of course, on the quality of the item. If you want it full value, do send in the battery and the power cord if you have it.
I'm going to send in a big box in before middle.
We sent in a couple. We
got some cash.
We were frankly, we were frankly skeptical. We got exactly what they said we would get. If they recycle, by the way, all of Gazelle's recycling partners adhere to strict environmental policies. No export, no landfill.
I got to say, that's worth it in itself. We have so many like old monitors, old iMacs, and you're trying to figure out who's going to come pick it up, and usually they charge you for it. You know, if someone's going to, take it and recycle it for me,
it's pretty good.
Send me a box.
Now, you want to check this out? I want you to try it and get 10% extra by using the coupon code MacBreak. So go to Gazelle, GAZELLE.com/MacBreak. And if you decide to use Gazelle, make sure and check out that you use the word MacBreak, and they'll add 10%. This is the first sponsor we've ever had that doesn't cost you anything, that gives you money. I like it.
That's awesome.
We need more like that.
All our sponsors from now on need to give you money.
And by the way, if you're using Gazelle, we get a little money in a way from that. They've been very happy that we've done this is our third commercial for them, and they said, but we're getting good response. So please keep it up. We appreciate it. GAZELLE, Gazelle.com/MacBreak. So we're starting to see I guess it's because the iPad's coming out in a week from Saturday. We're starting to see a lot of iPad applications. Amazon and Barnes & Noble have both announced they will do apps. Now, does this mean that they have been approved, or just that they're going to... Because there's, people, it's funny, Opera put out a press release saying, Opera Mini is going to come out for the iPhone pending approval, but there's no way in hell they're going to get approved.
I think that the idea of doing a press release is to put pressure on Apple going, we did it.
How little you know Steve Jobs.
Apple, they always cave to pressure. You tell Apple it's going to be a bad idea, and they're going to go, oh, never mind.
How little you know about Apple if you do that.
Yeah.
You get it.
Now, Steve's just going to send him an email that says,
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Sorry.
Yeah. I just think that they have to make sure that, especially a company like Amazon, they have to make sure that they have an answer to the question, well, what does this mean for the Kindle store? And they can simply say, we are pleased that the iPad has been released, because that means that our 500,000 titles, the largest commercial library available in any ebook reader, will be available for this land-breaking new device.
Right.
Also, you notice that there's a Friday deadline, Friday of this week, to anybody who wants to have an iPad app approved before the
day
April
of.
3rd.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a lot of people are that's why a lot of people in your social group might be a little unshaved, a little bit smelly, because whereas they thought they might have a little bit more time, the term papers are due at midnight, and that's going to be it.
Let me ask, actually, Houdini 7. Are you going to get this? We're going to have a Twit iPad app. Houdini 7 wrote the great iPhone app for Twit, which is really spectacular. It's done an update. Are you going to have your iPhone version or your iPad version ready? He says, yes, we will.
Excellent.
Yes, we will. Houdini 7, and by the way, I owe you an iPad. We're going to have to send Houdini 7 an iPad, because he's done such a great job developing that iPhone app. And now we have an iPad app that supposedly, if it gets approved. Now, Apple doesn't guarantee approval, but they say if you want a chance of getting approved in time for April 3rd, you need to get it to us by Saturday.
Well, what are you guys hearing from developers? Are you hearing that a lot of them are going to jump in and use the development tools, or are a bunch of them... Really? So rather than just wait for the device and say, this tells us something.
Everybody I've talked to.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big opportunity. I've had a bunch of alpha and beta iPad apps running on the simulator, because you got to start working on this software sometime. And you know that there's going to be hundreds of thousands of people who just want to see what the difference is between an iPhone app and an iPad app. And that's a huge marketing opportunity. You can push out an update a week later after all of your staff has had actual iPads to load the thing on. Even I'm sort of in that boat, where there's sort of plans that I've been having for the past 6 or 7 months to do iPhone content. And now it just seems like, well, geez, if I can get this done in time for the iPad launch, isn't that a cool deadline to suddenly have? So I really do think that the first generation of iPad apps really aren't going to show off the true abilities of the iPad operating system, the iPad interface, because everybody is still writing apps on desktops that will work with mouses and work with pointers. It will technically be a touch-based interface, but without the living, breathing iPad in front of you, so you can just put a control here, tap it and see how it works, realize that, oh no, that's it should be down here, not up there. It's going to take having a live sample to run the software on before people really figure out how to run an iPad app. I think that there's going to be apps available on April 3rd, but the real apps are going to be available 2 weeks later.
Well, and I think the only danger is specifically the way the review process works on iTunes, is that a lot of people like me, I'm going to be downloading a whole bunch of things that are iPad apps. But what happens if you put out something bad? You'll make some money at the beginning, but the issue is that you get a bunch of bad reviews, and then you have to climb over that hole because there's no way to get rid of those reviews of that application. Now, I might put out apps, but I definitely wouldn't put out my treasures. Like the thing that I really think is going to. Well, really
you want to make sure.
Well.
Yeah.
I'd rather. I am constantly tempted to go fast rather than well, and I am rarely happily surprised.
Wait a minute, let me parse that. I am rarely happily surprised. Oh, you're never. You know it's not going to go well.
The thing is, when you go fast, you think that it's worth. I mean, and it will be. Some people are going to make a lot of money, and especially people who do something really cool. They've already done a bunch of iPhone development. They already kind of have an idea, and they're going to be in the right place at the right time. But there's a big risk if you throw something out there really fast to be part of that first crowd of people, and then you get 1,000 people who give you a 1 star and say this stinks, it crashes all the time, or I hate the interface, or whatever.
Right.
Now you and your company have to dig yourself out of that hole, and that's the I definitely wouldn't put my name or the app name that I really want on the first thing that I put out there, because I'd be afraid of it not going well, especially if I'm shooting into the dark.
Right. Well, and you are. But on the other hand, wouldn't you love to have it out day of?
I would if I knew that. I mean,
how small is that store going to be? How many people are going to download that app?
It's going to be great.
The problem is you just don't know how long it's going to take to fix the bug.
Well, and how many bad reviews you're going to get. I mean, everyone's going to be downloading them.
It's a gamble.
No, it is. It's totally a gamble. I'm not a very good. I'm going to Vegas in a couple of weeks, and I'm not sitting at any of the tables.
Well, some apps are linear enough that.
Yeah,
you'll fine tune them, but you'll get it 95% there.
Yeah,
I've been looking at a lot of different comic book apps, as you can guess, and I really think that, like the iVerse app, for instance, is at least 95% there. I can't imagine them making a big improvement on what they've already got. Again, I'm sure that as soon as they've got the live thing and they get to touch the interface for the first time, they're going to maybe move this button there, or maybe make this bank of buttons a little bit larger. If anything, the only consistent problem that I'm seeing is people who are just taking existing iPhone user interface skills and trying to just transplant them one-to-one to the iPad. Because when you launch an application and you get a blank screen, that new document button that used to be so big in an iPhone screen is now just tiny little crumb that's just sort of hidden off in the corner of the screen. But I think that a lot of apps are going to be very, very successful on April 3rd.
I really hope that Plask thinks about doing a Comic Life that exports directly to the iPad.
Oh, wouldn't that be fun?
That would be so nice.
And then free publishing on the iBook store, and you got it made. Even an idiot like me could make a comic book with my own pictures.
Yeah.
Definitely could do that.
Yeah, definitely good.
Definitely could do that. Here's an app that's destined to fail. AT&T will be providing wireless service for a couple of new, unusual 3G applications like Vitality Glow Caps. This is a pill bottle cap which calls or texts you if you forget to take your pills. I could just, the first lawsuit because AT&T dropped the call and Grandma dropped on the floor. I don't know. The other one is Apposphere is working on a SIM card-equipped dog collar that will let dog owners keep track of their pets. And you can establish a geofence. I think the liability risks are less there. Although
I mean, all you have to do is slip that into a kid's lunchbox, and you're done.
I did order. There's something. I think it was called Puppy Tweets. A little collar that I'm going to put around Ozzy that tweets whenever Ozzy scratches or barks or runs around.
No, I think the big impact is going to be next on the news at 6. Is your dog sexting? Back after this.
It's only a matter of time. Engadget is at CTIA, and boy, have they got a load of new phones and stuff. This is the big cell phone event of the year.
Where is CTIA?
It's usually in Vegas, isn't it? I don't know where it is this time.
Vegas.
Lots of new hands-ons on the new i1, this new Motorola, which is running, I believe it's running Android. A lot of Android stuff. This i1 is the first Android Power push-to-talk from using the IDEN network from Sprint. It's called the Motorola i1. I mean, there's a ton of these. Android is dominating CTIA, and I have to think that Android is coming on strong. If there is a threat to Apple at this point,
it's definitely Android.
It's definitely Android.
Well, the question is does BlackBerry? I mean, when I talk to BlackBerry users, they like Verizon.
Yeah.
They're still in that land of everyone hates their phone, just hated the other ones more. Right. Now they don't even like their phone; they like other ones more, but they're still like their network.
It's Verizon,
or the company gave it to them, and that's what they use. But it doesn't seem like people who used to call it Crackberry don't really call it that anymore. They kind of look at it like, well, it's the crap.
The one I want, and we'll find out about this tomorrow, is the Htc Supersonic, which will be a 4.3-inch screen, Android 2.1. That's the latest version, the one that's on the Nexus One, with the Sense UI on top of it. But most importantly, it'll run Clearwire, Sprint's 4G WiMAX on it.
Is that out? Is it working?
Starts tomorrow. Yeah, well, that's the issue, because you can get 4G in some towns. We were able to get it in Austin and Vegas, but not here.
And was it fast?
You have to talk to Colleen about that. My sense was it wasn't much faster than 3G. LTE is going to be the one, I think.
The word is that 4G falls off very fast outside of the cell tower. So
that would explain it.
And that's actually I was talking to Tom Anderson. He's a writer for Make Magazine and programmer for Agilent. And he was saying, as it drops off, as you get out away from that cell tower, it really drops off fast. So you get crazy fast speeds, and they can say that it gets those fast speeds, but not for very far.
Dell has, the Dell Mini 3 is a very popular phone. The new rechristened Mini 3 is the Aero for AT&T. It'll have Android on it. Unfortunately, not 2.1. My advice to anybody thinking about switching to Android is get 2.1. If there's a phone has 1.5 or 1.6 on it, don't do it. As you said, Andy, the 2.1 is significantly more mature.
Do we think it's just a horse race between these two? Do we think
at this point, else? Yeah, who else? Anybody? BlackBerry? RIM?
I think, again, there are people whose needs are not being served by Android or iPhone. And I think in some ways that's the best market to have, because people who are BlackBerry owners who are just that focused on messaging, they're never going to be happy with anything else. You could start charging them $1,000 per text, and they'd start shopping around, but they'd probably keep coming back to BlackBerry. They're so entrenched right now.
See, that's not the response that I'm getting from people when I talk, because I ask why they still have their BlackBerry mostly out of morbid curiosity, and it's all like my company gave it to me, or I like Verizon. Nobody talks about wanting to do it anymore.
Well, that's true of Windows Mobile as well. And Windows Phone 7 edition, starter, whatever the hell they call it, which won't be out to the end of the year, looks pretty nice. It looks it's got a great UI based on the Zune UI, and still Windows Mobile is done very well, mostly because it's corporate. That's the phone you get from the company,
right? Yeah, when they issue your uniform and you put on the yellow jumpsuit that you have to work, and here's your BlackBerry, or here's your Windows Mobile
or your
phone.
IDEN
goes out and gets it. Yeah, your ID badge, and here's your phone, and this is what you must use, which is fine for certain large companies, but in terms of normal people going out and seeking out this phone, I don't think so.
Colleen is saying in our chat room that when AT&T had a good signal, the 3G was faster than the WiMAX we were able to get in Las Vegas. However, she says the WiMAX was more reliabler.
I like everything to be more reliable. It's more reliable. That's like extra reliable.
More reliable. Let's see what else. What else is going on in the news today? Apple adds 2 publishers to its store for ebooks.
I think it represents a lot of independent publishers. So
it's
what
Perseus,
they did is they locked in like 200 little publishers with that.
By getting Perseus Group, you get 330 small presses: Grove Atlantic, Harvard Business School Press, the Zagat Guides.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, this is the big. I think that turning that one over with the large publishers is kind of they're not too worried about Amazon, I think, at this point.
They also got one of my favorite small publishers, Workman. And Workman does the What to Expect When You're Expecting series.
Well, and is that one you read a lot?
I did. I read it heavily.
That's the one that scares the hell out of you when you're about to have a kid. So they have the nice gentle guides, and then you read this one. You think of all the things that can go wrong.
I've been reading What to Expect When Your Daughter Turns 18, and so far it's been very accurate. She had her 18th birthday yesterday.
Did you do it? Did you do it well?
It's kind of scary. We did as well as we could, considering we were both in tears, my wife and I. Our daughter's turning 18. Chris, it's no fun, let me tell you. You don't want your kids to grow up.
No, I'm very happy with the age she is right now. Little girl. I'm thinking ahead because I'm going to be very creaky by the time she turns 18.
That's what I thought. Man, I'll be 53 when she's 18. That's over the hill. I don't think that anymore. They also do the Silver Palette cookbooks. I think cookbooks on the iPad might be a killer app,
Interactive.
Right? Interactive cookbooks. Maybe it talks to you, because one of the problems I have with cookbooks is I'm busy going like this, and now I go, what do I do now? And if the cookbook would actually say, turn off the heat, that would be awesome. Video, you're right. Wouldn't that be cool?
That was actually when we were designing the tablet that we were thinking of doing 2 years ago. That was the first application that we came up with. I mean, that was like the first thing that we would do is cooking.
And Workman is a very innovative, forward-thinking publisher. I think that's just exactly what they're thinking of. So now everybody but Random House has agreed to go with the iBook store.
Out for? What is their problem?
That won't last.
Some random reason, I'm sure.
Sorry, you can't buy any Random House books here. Have anything else you want. That's not going to last.
No.
Meanwhile,
what's happening with the textbook publishers like Pearson and some of these other? Because
we know
clearly there's a huge market there. But
I think that they've all come along. Haven't they? I mean, that's going to be.
I think they're all in, and I think that the other thing is that we've had some interaction with folks that are developing the next generation of learning materials. All of these manufacturers are light years ahead of most publishers. So whether it's Pearson or the Hoffman Mifflin or whoever it is, all of these companies have been working on interactive versions for a long time. They've been talking about interactive versions.
Time has come.
They've been building the content for a long time. So they've seen this writing on the wall for a long. Whether it was going to be a pad or people doing it on their computer, they're actually probably more ready for it than most most of the people out there.
Yeah. Amazon is playing hardball at this point. They're really trying to get the publishers not to do agreements with other companies. All Apple is saying is, if we do a deal with you, you agree not to sell a book for a lower price at any other digital bookstore. Amazon, though, has all sorts of restrictions. Amazon really would like to bury the iBook store. That's not going to happen. Amazon is pressuring publishers that haven't yet signed deals with Apple to refrain from doing so, according to the New York Times.
I don't think this one works for Amazon. It's
not going to happen.
It's kind of high maintenance,
rather
than low maintenance. One's like,
Well, and Amazon has a different structure. They don't want to be basically a commissioned reseller, as Apple is. They want to set the price. Right. Apple says, you set the price. We'll take 30% of whatever you set the price to be, as long as it's not less than anywhere else.
Do we think that Apple learned from the music stuff? Just like, forget it. Like, that didn't work for us. Controlling the price of the songs. Like, we're not going to go down that path again.
It's kind of too bad, because one of the reasons that I think that you don't see DRM on songs is Apple put the screws to music publishers saying, okay, we'll give you the variable pricing you asked for, but you've got to take DRM off. That was a nice little stick to have.
But I think that you got to remember that the reason why they put on the 99-cent price tag was because they were inventing this store.
Right.
A lot of the decisions that they made with the iTunes Store 1.0 was just, here are all the ways the Sony Music Store screwed things up. Here's the way that your Universal Store could not possibly work or be a success. And one of them was, I know that I don't care how popular the song is, you ain't getting $2.38 for a bit of honey.
Well, now and the sales went down.
Here's the problem, though. If you sign a deal with Apple saying, we're going to do this agency-style relationship where we set the price, you get 30%, and we agree not to sell it for lower than anywhere else, Amazon, you just sign a deal with Amazon that says, Amazon will set the price. What's to stop Amazon from setting a lower price and screwing you with Apple?
Well, because what you're going to have to do in every agreement is tell Amazon that they can sell it for whatever price, but it can't go below this. I mean, that's what's going to have to.
That's not the deals Amazon's making.
Well, that takes all Amazon's flexibility away.
I think Amazon's a big loser here, as we saw with Macmillan. Amazon can try to play a tough guy, but they just can't do it.
Well, the other issue is this makes what Apple's agreement does is it makes every other online publisher compete with them only technically and with market mass, which is, that is, I mean, it is bringing everybody into their briar patch and making them duke it out. That's
a very apt analogy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting to watch as this develops, but I have a feeling that in this Donnybrook, Apple has all the advantages. The
Kindle on the Mac looked really nice. It has color.
Kindle on the Mac. Have you played with that?
I haven't got it yet. I just saw the screen captures and I was like, wow, it looks better than on the Kindle.
I got it. I wish that it had something as simple as just being able to rotate the screen 90 degrees. I think it's an obvious feature that any books reader should have, given that it's so easy just to simply turn your notebook on the side. Works great.
Come on, Andy. What? Are you kidding me? You want to read
I'm not saying that this would be the optimum reader that I would have. What I'm saying is that it's an obvious option that people would want. I mean, it's not a case of I read most of my books. The habit that I've built in, that I've come to over the past couple of years of using my Kindle, is that I use my iPhone for, incidental. I have got a few minutes waiting in line reading. When I want to sit and read and enjoy something, then I get my actual Kindle reader. The notebook would be a cool hybrid between the two, because I don't always travel with my book reader. So if I had the ability to turn that 90 degrees, and instead of sitting like this, going tap, 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 because they're only 20 lines per display, and simply be able to lean back and simply have something approximating a full large print book page in front of me. Yeah, hell yeah, I'd use that option.
I just don't see myself. Here's the thing: is I think once I have an iPad, I would never consider reading a book any other way. I don't.
Well, we shall see.
But imagine you don't have an iPad.
Right.
God forbid.
I think it's an interesting way to
forbid, he says.
Yeah. I mean,
stand back, Satan.
It's gone from being a luxury to a must-have.
Exactly.
Well, wait till you see my Mac pick this week. You're going to have an iPad. We're going to get our picks of the week in just a second. Any last-minute news stories, you guys? Have I left? I know I've left a lot out. There's so many stories, but
we got to what we got.
Anything urgent? Going once, going twice. I was at the school auction on Saturday night. You can tell, right? Sold to the man in the cowboy hat. All right, let's get to our picks of the week in just a second. Chris Breen is here, the Mac Daddy from Macworld Magazine, the editor of the Mac 911. Yeah, he said, what? Yes, I'm here.
I have something.
Okay, hold on. Hold on.
My desk.
Hold on.
Okay,
save your pick, my friend.
Okay,
Andy Ihnatko is also here from the Chicago Sun-Times and the Celestial Waste of Bandwidth. Mr. Alex Lindsay from the Pixel Corps, also here, pixelcorps.com. The Guild of Multimedia Artists, pixelcore.tv for the podcasts. Got a bunch of them coming up for NAB.
We are going to go crazy.
Can't wait.
I'm
sending Colleen and Lisa, but I'm not going to go, and we're not going to cover it because I said, well, Alex has got this one well in hand.
I'm going to be there for 6 days. I'm speaking on Saturday and Sunday, and then we hope to do some. We're going to definitely do some streaming. We are doing. We're going to probably shoot 60 episodes, but we're going to compile them into bigger shows because it's too many to put out. And so, but we're going to cover as much as we can. We're going to try to really give you kind of a virtual experience of the event. So we should have a lot of fun. But that's coming up on April 12th, and and it's going to be a lot of fun.
We are getting to our picks in just a moment. Before we do, I do want to mention our good friends at Audible.com, the great bookstore online that you can download audiobooks from. Pick a book from its collection of 70,000 titles. Download it. Within a minute, it'll be on your computer. Sync it up to your Zune, your Kindle, your iPod, your iPhone, any of hundreds of different devices that work with Audible books. And now you're ready to hit the road. Whether I'm driving in the car, working out at the gym, even things as simple as cooking dinner or cleaning the house. I love to listen. And what the beauty of Audible.com is, you get to read more. It brings reading back into your life. Who has time these days? And yet I've read literally several hundred books. I think it's up to 400 books now since I started as an Audible customer in 2001. Books I probably would never have read had I waited till I had time to read. I love Audible. Audible.com/MacBreak. You can go there right now. Sign up for the Gold account. Get your first book free. We always let Andy Ihnatko make his pick because he's a devoted Audible reader.
I'm still in the middle of The Big Burn, which was my pick from a couple of weeks ago, which, no pun intended, is definitely hotting up. Hey, let's bring out your headliner. So part of the fun is, especially when you have the subscription that says that you just simply get one every month, whichever one you want. You do tend to sort of bookmark ones that catch your eye, and so the next one that I've got my eyes on for my next credit is a really neat looking book on Sputnik. It's called Red Moon Rising: Sputnik and the Hidden Rivals that Ignited the Space Age. It sounds really, really cool because I'm a nerd, so of course I've always been reading about the history of space exploration and space technologies from the 20s and 30s, pretty much onward. And from descriptions and the reviews I've read, it sounds like they've done a really good job of choosing not the entire history of space exploration and the development of satellite and rocket technology, but let's just choose this narrow window of getting Sputnik up and going, and how the United States and the Soviets reacted to that. Because at one full swoop, you can talk about a whole bunch of different things, starting with one of the most interesting characters in the history of space exploration, which is Russian scientist by the name of Korolev, who was one of the biggest state secrets that the Soviets had. They would not let his name go out anywhere because they feared that he would be attacked, because this one man, believe it or not, had the entire Russian Soviet space program inside his head. Wow! It wasn't like NASA, where they had about 24 different project managers.
He was there, Verner Von Braun. Was he a Russian or was he a German?
He was Russian. As a matter of fact, he was Yugoslavian who Stalin put in a work camp because he was a Slav and was not to be trusted. Right. Even though he was more like the Goddard of Russia than of the Soviets than anything else, because he early on was saying, geez, we could put a rocket onto this and we could actually use it for satellites, we could use it for space exploration, and then say, fine, we'll go upstairs, go up north and mine salt for us. And then after it became clear that, actually we're going to need to launch really huge payloads of really destructive bombs into space. Do we have any guys like that? Yes, we do, Mr. Premier. You sent them to the Gulag 8 years ago. Well, we'll find out whoever approved that order and have him killed. It was not me, and bring him back, because we've got big plans for him. So you get to hear his story. You get to hear the story about how the Soviets started to divert too much of their money and resources into this rocket program when it suddenly became a matter of national prestige. You do hear about Von Braun, about how after the war, there were whole units that were just doing nothing but scooping up every piece of Nazi rocket technology and every Nazi rocket expert they can, no matter what their pedigree was, no matter what their politics were, because they became huge national resources for the defense program. Not only that, but the politics, the engineering. I think when it comes to reading history, I think it's always a lot more fulfilling to choose that one narrow window and focus on it, so you get the entire picture of the world that existed during that time, as opposed to some of the broader histories where you just have enough time to say, well, they had the chief designer died on the operating table, and that with him went all of the Soviets' hopes for lunar exploration. They're like, wait, what about the chief designer? Anyway, in 1971, back up, chief designer, that was the one guy. I've only read bits and pieces of it. I'm sorry.
Sounds great. I can't wait to read it.
I've only read bits and pieces of it through reviews, but it sounds like the sort of book that's right up my alley. Also, the reviewers that I've read seem to think that it has a nice mixture of technical detail and making it into a clear picture. So that's the next one up on my list after I finish The Big Burn, I think.
Red Moon Rising, Sputnik and the Hidden Rivals that ignited
Also, the reviews of the audiobook says that the reader has a Russian accent.
Let's hear.
Which is probably exactly right for it.
Charles Stransky is the narrator. It sounds like Moose and Squirrel when I say it that way.
Italian, under the command of SS Gruppenführer Hans Kammler, suddenly heard a sound like the cracking of a giant whip.
Okay, maybe
they knew.
Well, he has a slightly Russian
accent. The rocket had just broken the sound barrier.
He sounds good,
and it was still accelerating, outrunning its own blast wave. That's 25 seconds.
Oh, I love this stuff.
That's a voice I need for my Apple, is angry Russian.
Angry Russian.
I have Scottish woman.
What do you mean for your? Do you have?
Like voices you can buy.
You can buy Scottish woman.
I have a Scottish woman who. So Roger Ebert's.
His voice sounds like him.
Well, I know, but I went to the company who makes it, and they sell all these. You can buy other. And I thought it'd be fun to have a Scottish woman read me the news. and it was, but I can't understand what she's saying. So it was really fun, but not as helpful as I expected.
Trevor in 10 minutes. This is your only reminder.
Well, the iPad have voices too. That's the question.
Yeah.
Well,
it doesn't have a speaker.
No.
We know that it has text to speech. We don't know yet whether that's a system level resource that developers will have immediate access to. It does. You can speak anything that's written on the pad.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But I don't know if it's going to be like speakable, like the text, the speech features that are on the Mac OS, where it's just a resource. You can install your own voices and do all kinds of fun stuff like that.
You'd have to put speakers on it, though, right, Andy? Because it doesn't have speakers.
You'd have to have a good way to listen to it. Like maybe probably you'd want, if you're going to be doing it that way, you'd probably want to have Bluetooth speakers plugged in. Yeah. But it's got some. Hang on. Unfortunately,
I'm not going to buy the dock. I'm going to just use a Bluetooth keyboard, the Apple Bluetooth keyboard with it.
Yeah, that's
it
where
does
I'm
support
going.
A2DP, so you could use any Bluetooth audio device. You know what? That means I can use it in the car. It'll work with my Ford Sync.
Well, see, that's another thing that I really, really want. I want the dashboard mount, and I want the absolute ultimate car dash app for any mobile device anywhere.
Right.
this thing.
Yeah.
And yes, it'll light up the interior of my car like a magnesium flare when I'm driving at night. But that's a small price to pay, don't you think?
There'll be a new ticket designation for the California Highway Patrol, glowing while driving.
I'm sorry, it does have a built-in speaker. Every time someone tells me it doesn't have a speaker, I always think, wait, that's not true.
Oh.
Yeah, built-in microphone, built-in speaker.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. That can't be a very good speaker, though.
See, unfortunately, I'm at that horrible point in which I know enough to be confident about what I know about the iPad. I don't know enough to be absolutely arrogant and immediate when someone tells me something that I don't believe is true. It's like
I know.
Like,
so ignore Leo. He knows nothing. So let's hear the Scottish.
Okay, here we go.
Let's hear the Scottish lady. So we're going to hear a little Scottish lady. So you can buy these, but not from Apple.
My name is Mrs. Doubtfire.
I heard her.
Window. All mailboxes. Found 3,680 matches for search. Messages. Table.
It's a Scottish company, I think, that did
a
it.
week ago, edit text. Window.
And I
New
was
message.
500
This week on the
miles.
show.
And I
Ron goes to
was
Billings.
to be
Photographer's
the
house by the
man.
fuzz.
Here, wait a minute. They have a live
Crop
demo on the
scissors
website. That might
Eventually.
that
Right
might
here
sound
on This
better
Week
here.
in Photography number 141.
That sounds like a real person.
I'm going to be the man who wakes up next to you.
All right, now let me see. They have a lot of different voices.
They have lots of them. They don't have Angry Russian, though.
Is this the one, Sirpak?
Yeah, that's it.
So, Heather.
Do they have English actors
I have
pretending
Heather.
to be a Nazi in a movie?
Scottish English. I did that really badly. Sorry about that.
Let me. So, text box. How do I do this?
You just hit the play button.
But I want to type. I want to type something in the box. This is not a live demo. I see. You have to download the live demo bar.
No.
Oh, here it is.
Here
it is. Here it is. All right. Let's
and
see.
then you can decide who you want it to be over next to it.
All right. Let's see if I say that. If I sound like fat bastard. Here we go. So, oh look, there's Irish.
There's a lot of them there. Yeah.
Black country. What is that? Okay, synthesizing.
Get in my belly, baby.
All right. What else could I? What? So what is? So these are a bunch of Great Britain.
We'll go down further.
Sounds. Here's German. This is fun.
Get in my belly, baby.
Oh, this is good. Southern male. Southern. You mean American Southern?
We'll try it.
Or is it going to be
Get in my belly, baby.
Get in my belly, baby. It's like Mancusian or something.
In my library, I have this like 1904 like theater training book on how to do like perfect regional dialects, and that's why that's why I'm flashing back to that book right now.
No need any longer with this website.
Yeah, this is great. We can learn all the dialects via synthesis. This is Irish.
You realize that the Alabama carpenter has an extra.
May the road rise up to meet you, you fat bastard.
Oh, that's good. I like Caitlin. She's got spirit.
Anyway, sorry.
Cereproc, CEREPROC, and you can buy them.
Yeah, they're $45.
Wow. That's kind of pricey.
It is, but it's fun. It was a test. I took one for the for the team.
Let's get your pick of the week, as long as I got you up on the screen here, Alex.
My pick for the week. Okay, so this is a professional. I have two picks. One for my iPhone that's more general, but one that's my software pick for the week is just a really, really great, well-written application. So it's by Tweak Software. And it's tweaksoftware.com, and it's called RV. Now, here's the thing. These are guys that used to work at ILM doing heavy R&D. Then before that, they were working at Alias and at Wavefront. I think Wavefront, I believe. Anyway, and these guys have just incredible amounts of experience with architecture. And what they did is they built a replay system, a system that you can sit on, and when you're working on a set, or not even on a set, when you're working
like
on a
video
shot.
Tap, kind of?
No, it's not a video tap. It's for when you're working on actual shots. I don't mean. I was thinking of something else. So when you're working on a shot and you want to give feedback, so you want to have two people in different places. They theoretically could be in different buildings, but really, like if I'm at ILM and I'm in building A and someone else is in building D, but we want to have a discussion and talk about it, or we want to look at stuff and replay it for dailies. This is something that a lot of companies doing any kind of visual effects work, video work, you need to have some kind of feedback software. And this is the most amazingly well-written, stable, incredibly, like, thinking about all the little things that you would need as a company to put this stuff together. And so it is, and it's just really written by production guys for production people. And so what RV lets you do is you can load up an image, and I can load it up on my computer. Leo could load it up on his computer, or someone in another building could load up it on their computer. When I hit play, it'll keep all the frames synced together. If I change the color corrections or circle things or change things, it'll show up on their computer as well. So both of these things are all synced up. I can be using different kind. They could be using a QuickTime preview, and I could be looking at the film plates, and it would keep all the color scientifically connected to each other.
It's kind of like GoToMeeting for video editors.
Exactly. This is and it's $300, and it is the GoToMeeting for visual. I never thought of it that way, but it's the GoToMeeting for visual effects people, or for anyone doing kind of graphics, video, whatever. And it is astoundingly well written. I mean, it's over-engineered, way over-engineered. When I sat down, I used to work with one of the guys that Seth Rosenthal, and I mean, I had played with it. I was like, well, it's pretty cool. And then he showed me what it really could do. And the playback is incredibly smooth. The connection is incredibly smooth. And it's just, this is a bit of a pro thing, but I just feel like it's such a great example of a well-written app. And so on the high end, it's $300, as I said, about half an Alex. On the high end, that was my pick. My other, on the different end of the pick on my iPod is another example of a really well-written app that I'm just very happy with. And that is, I needed to work out. I need to find a workout that I can do in the hotel room. That's been my problem. Like 4 or 5 minutes in the morning, or 10 minutes in the morning. It has to be something quick, and I get into shape. So I started doing Google. This is what I was talking about. Googled Tabata. I Googled short workouts, and then saw Tabata. And Tabata is 4 minutes of hell.
Oh, I like it.
And you're sore.
I can do anything for
No.
4 minutes.
Well, that's the whole thing. That's my whole thing. I can do anything for 4 minutes. And so what it does is you do 20 seconds hard workout, and then you wait 10 seconds. Then you do 20 more seconds, and then you wait 10 seconds.
This is a well-known workout.
It was designed by a Japanese speed skating coach. So it's been around for a while.
But I've seen research that this intense interval workout gets more done in less time.
Well, and your body feels like it's been beaten for half an hour. I think it's still working.
I'm always looking
it's as if you were biking for the next half hour.
So which one do you recommend?
So here's the deal: is I got Tabata Pro, and what I love about it is it's super clear. So this is the Tabata. Can you see it here?
Yeah,
there you go. It's super clear, because what happens is you're going to set this down and you're going to hit go, and you've got a pair of weights that you're going to swing around for 4 minutes. And it is super clear. It's super simple. I don't have to learn. I don't have to figure anything out. It works exactly as advertised. It's not a complicated app, and I think this is a great example for people developing. But it's a timer that's built for this, and it does 20 seconds on, 20 seconds off, 20 seconds on, 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. But it gives you, and it's just like it gives you the little countdown, and it tells you 3, 2, 1, go. And you're like, go,
go.
And it's just and as I said, not complicated. Probably someone who knew what they were doing wrote this in a weekend kind of thing. And
does it give you audio cues too? So I can
it does.
So you can have your music playing, and then you'll hear a cue.
You could totally. I don't know if it does it over top of the music.
It says
but
you can have your music. It says play your music in the background.
I just set it down in front of me and hit it. It's 4 minutes. It's one song. I guess I could do that. But it's the thing is it is.
So you just do 4 minutes how many times a day though?
Once. That's
what?
All. Hey,
your workout is 4 minutes a day.
I started doing this week, and I'm still broken.
And what do you do?
So that's all.
What do you do? You swing kettlebells? What do you do?
No, I use the dumbbells, and I have them on 20 pounds.
Yeah.
And you do basically like a you start. It's not a clean and jerk, but I can't think of what they call it. It's like you start kneeling with your dumbbells on either side of you.
Yeah.
You come up and put them over your head,
It's like
and then
a
bring them
clean and
down.
jerk.
It's like a clean and jerk,
like a military press.
It's like a full. It's like a squat press. Where you.
And you do that, and you do it for how long? 20 seconds?
4 minutes.
20 seconds on, 10 seconds off.
And you will feel it the next day.
Yeah,
that's all I have to say. So because my workout is kind of the P90X is amazing, but an hour I was having a hard time scheduling an hour. So now what I do is I talk on the phone. I sit on my stationary bike for about an hour every morning. So I get my kind of that, and then I just whack this really hard. And I'm telling you, I mean. You put a 15 or 20 pound weight on there and you do that for 4 minutes. It seems easy, and if you do it really hard, because the idea is that you're working out full tilt. And by the way, we have to do the disclaimer that we used to do for the show, is that I recommend that you consult your physician if you think that Tabata is cool. I'm recommending the application. I will say that if I had done this 50 pounds ago, I probably would have given myself a coronary. So it's much harder than it seems. And
consult your physician before doing Tabata.
Yeah, but the application is a great example of just a really well made app that's very focused. And this is exactly what I was talking about. I didn't know that Tabata existed until this weekend. And then I went and did a search, and there's like 10 of them.
Yeah, there's
like 10 timers.
That's why I had to ask you which one.
I bought them all.
And this is the best.
And I think I like this one the best. I find it the simplest. It's not that it has the most features or anything else. It's simple. Tabata, does exactly what I needed to do.
Tabata Pro timer.
Yeah. Anyway,
20 seconds of work, 10 seconds rest, 10 seconds to prepare. And that's it. And you do that for 4 minutes.
And you do it hard.
If
you do it hard, and then you go sit down for a while.
And we're not recommending that you do that without consulting a physician.
Yeah, all that
we
stuff.
Can't afford to lose any listeners. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Christopher Breen, the bouffant of all knowledge, will work out his hair.
Here on my desk, I have a few things. Not the foam hot dog, but rather.
That's always good.
Yeah, it's good.
Is it a USB device?
No, it's strictly analog. No, I have a Bowers & Wilkin MM1 set of stereo speakers.
Now they make the Zeppelin.
They make the Zeppelin. They also make some fabulous, real big speakers, and this is their first computer speaker that they've made.
I love. I want to. But those are the big speakers I'm going to buy for my someday stereo system.
Yeah. I have a set of B&Ws upstairs.
You do?
And they're very odd looking from 20 years ago. They have a little hat on, but they sound amazingly good. These are their first desktop speakers they've ever made. They're not cheap at $500. They have no subwoofer. It's simply 2 satellites, and they sound really, really good. There's a 3-inch woofer pointing down in here. There's a driver in here. There's some DSP functionality in here so that you can plug these things in via USB or get an analog input. Plug your headphones in. They sound fabulous because it's getting processed. I've been using some Monsoon speakers for the longest time with a subwoofer on them, and I like that sound, that big, thumpy sound. So you're not going to get that. If you're a gamer and you're expecting these things to shake the building, they're not going to. But they're very clean. You get to hear everything that's in the music. I was listening to Abbey Road, the remastered stereo version, and I had no idea that in Come Together there was a maraca part right dead center, and I didn't hear it until I listened on these speakers. I like them a lot. They have a cool little remote control that looks like this for those of you at home and watching on video. And you can use it when you're connected through USB. You can use it to pause and play iTunes, control the volume, turn the thing on and off, and mute the speakers. They sound wonderful. They've been out in Britain for since the beginning of March, getting great reviews on the iTunes store there. They'll be coming out in this country in the next couple of weeks. Apple will have exclusive option to maintain these things, I think, for 30 to 60 days, and then you can get them from other outlets as well.
So you're saying that even without a subwoofer, you feel like they give you good sound?
They give great sound, but not thumpy.
Not thumpy, obviously.
Not thumpy, but they'll fill a room, and also they're near field. So they're not the kind of thing you're going to put across the room and listen to. They sound fine if you do that, but really within about 3 to 4 feet, they focus beautifully. So if you use them as computer speakers, which is what they are, you'll get great sound out of them.
Oh, that's very tempting.
They're very nice.
It's pricey. I guess when you buy your 27-inch iMac, it kind of doesn't feel like,
Yeah, you don't get BMW speakers with the idea that you're going to save money.
No.
They're really quality engineered things.
Yeah, I've been lusting after the 800 series speakers now for months.
Yeah,
waiting to buy. I just noticed that when I went there that they have a, this would be a good pick too. I'll try it, but they have a thing called Society of Sound where you can buy 24-bit FLAC versions of albums, like the new Peter Gabriel album, which I just love. So you can buy from them a 24-bit version, super high-quality version of this, uncompressed, FLAC compressed, unlosslessly compressed.
Right. You can also get Apple lossless for all their stuff, and it's it's something they've set up with Peter Gabriel. So it's a lot of people from real-world studios that are offering the music. So
they say $60 a year, and then you get a bunch of different albums.
Yeah. And I've picked up about 3 or 4 albums from there, and the quality is really good.
Yeah, because this is better than CD quality.
Yeah, and these are a lot of musicians you haven't heard of before that you're unlikely to be exposed to. Wonderful musicianship. The engineering is fabulous, and again, the encoding is just terrific.
Peter Gabriel's a perfect example of why big names don't need labels anymore. I guarantee he's making way more money doing what he's doing now.
Well, I think that's also a signed album. The new album is a regular album.
Is it? I don't think so. I think he's publishing it. I think he's been publishing himself. His last album wasn't. His last album was completely self-published. Completely.
Oh.
Like it was. I think he went off the radar a while ago. I mean, the last 2 albums have both been.
Scratch My Back. The new album is brilliant. Yeah. It's covers.
It's Peter Gabriel.
Yeah, but it's covers. It's not what you would think.
Right.
It's very different, but it's beautiful. I'll play some.
Yeah, but everything is very slow.
Slow.
So if you're feeling a little down, it's not the kind of album that you want to put on.
I'll play here. I'll play. They have some samples on here. I
think Heroes is great.
I love all of these.
His cover of Heroes is fabulous.
Everybody knows the. Everybody knows the Paul Simon "Boy in the Bubble" from Graceland. This is his version of "Boy in the Bubble." It's not what you heard before, and this is 24-bit coming to you.
Dry wind, and it swept across the desert, and it curled into the circle of birth.
It's just beautiful. I think it's here's Heroes.
Yeah, really spare.
Yes, spare. Apparently, I'm told that he recorded the voice tracks and then
figured out what to do,
instrumentalized it. Yeah.
I wish I could swim.
Yeah, this is beautiful. You're right. I forgot about how good this is.
Like dolphins.
It's not what you'd expect from Peter Gabriel. There's no.
Well, it definitely sounds like Peter Gabriel. It just
doesn't. His voice.
It's not what you'd expect. Yeah.
But there's no beat. There's no rhythm. Good pick. Thank you. Boy, that makes me want them badly. Mr. Andy Ihnatko, it is your turn to make me want something. Uh-oh, you done been muted, Andrew. Unmute. I don't hear.
I was testing a feature of my pick of the week. I was just saying.
The sound sucker.
It is a feature that makes noise and a feature that would make people listening think, gee, Eddie's not even paying attention to this. He's not preparing something he's going to be showing off later on.
Yeah.
Because my pick of the week is a app that is not unfamiliar to many listeners. It is the MLB At Bat 2010 app, which is a sign to me that's like a sure sign of spring in modern life. At the time when it comes for me to buy a new version of the MLB At Bat app, just as a basic app, it is a fantastic thing if you are even a casual fan of baseball, because it is just a sort of a dashboard app that tells you everything that's going on in the league right now and everything that's going to be going on in baseball tonight. Because this has a feature where you can tell it what your favorite team is, I can tell it to, by the way, I'm particularly interested in events that are related to the Boston Red Sox. So that means that because I've set certain options properly, every time a game starts, I'll get a little alert in whatever app I'm using, saying that, oh, by the way, Sox are playing the Astros today at right now. They're starting up right now. When the game is over, I find out who won and who lost. If I'm interested, I tap a button, and then I get just simple display that will show me play-by-play, game-by-game, exactly what's going on. Right now, there isn't a Sox game going on, but I can see that the Braves are playing the Mets. They're in the bottom of the 8th with the runs, hits, errors, get a complete scoreboard. There's a really excellent feature though that they've added with this latest with the 2010 edition that has slightly amazed a bunch of people. It's always had the ability to play live game audio. So if I hit the listen now button at the bottom of this game, it'll have access to. Let me see if I can increase the sound here. So it will get sometimes not only the play-by-play from one local station, but also the local station of the opposing team. Can you hear that?
That's cool. Yeah.
Okay. Now watch this. It also has a QuickTime button at the top there. So if I tap the QuickTime button, it will stop playing it in its own like app-based player and open that same stream in Safari, just as a playable stream. So you can see it's launching Safari. It is now. I tap this button to actually start playing it, resume the playback within Safari.
Will you get video of it?
Hang on. And in a second, the stream will start.
Now, the nice thing about Safari in the background is it continues to run in the background, right?
Exactly. That's what I mean. So now, if I'm in the car, I can just simply keeps going. And if I launch my GPS app,
it still works.
It still works. So I can listen to the game while I'm navigating.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. The price went up a little bit. It used to be $10 for the season. Now it's $15 for the season. But the excellent thing... Oh, wait. I'm rebroadcasting content from Major League Baseball.
Oh, God. You violated the single most important tenet in all of broadcasting.
This is going to be our last MacBreak Weekly together.
We don't know what happened there.
The other cool thing about it is that they do keep updating the app over the course of the season. So new features keep appearing. A lot of people are complaining that they're charging an extra $5. Also, if you subscribe to MLB.com, you can also get live game video. But that's something you have to have an extra subscription for. And there's the usual App Store complaints of, oh, this should be a free app, and how come I have to pay extra to get the live video? But if you are in any way interested in baseball, I'm not even saying if you have to be a fan of baseball, if you're even marginally interested in baseball, it's such cheap money. Because I don't have the amount of focus that's necessary to really keep on top of what my favorite teams are doing day by day by day and game by game. But I can certainly, when I take my phone out of my pocket, see that, oh, okay, that's the result of that game. So I know that the only flaw of this program is that it does inform you that if Red Sox are playing split squads, they did indeed lose both of their games on Sunday. That is a defect that I would like them to correct. Please only tell me when the Red Sox win. Do not tell me when they lose, or at least don't tell me when they lose in an epic fashion. But there's so many times where you just want to get up to date a little bit. Last year, my dad and I do watch a lot of games together. And the first question when I come in to visit him was, "Oh, what are the Sox playing tonight?" And of course, I just simply get out MLB.com, tap one button. I know exactly what's going on tonight, so I know that great. We'll have dinner in. We will watch the game on Nesson tonight, and that's going to be our schedule for the entire evening.
And you find the audio on 3G works fine?
The audio on 3G works fine. It's not great. Also, it can be a little bit spotty, not because the app is a bad app, but because you're talking about streaming audio over the internet, which has its own variables, and then streaming audio over 3G, which also has its own variables. But if you are in a static location, like here in the office, that's absolutely not going to be a problem streaming this over 3G. Even when you're driving, you might drop a connection. You might drop out for one moment or another. But I find that at least in New England, where I have really, really good coverage, I have no problem going from site to site and driving a whole half hour, 45 minutes, and listening to game audio as I go. So
that's great.
And the last thing is, it's just such a well-designed app. It is available also for the BlackBerry and for further platforms, but this is a Mac-oriented show, isn't it?
Right. I just put it on my Android just because somebody said it is on the Android, and it is, in fact. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and they just came with the BlackBerry version. So use BlackBerry version. So you know that this is an app where they're getting a lot of. It's not just something they're doing as an experiment for one season. That this is a big part of their ongoing business. I can't wait to see what their iPad app is going to look like. But just came back to what I was going to say, that I love the fact that this is so well designed. This is one of those. If you're doing a seminar on how to design an iPhone app,
it's just gorgeous.
This is exactly. It's not only, it puts a huge amount of information in one screen, yet it never seems cluttered. It always is highlighting, putting your eye exactly where it should go, and with the toolbars at the top and the bottom, without being cluttered, you're never really lost as to what you need to tap to get to where you want to go. So this is just a fine app, and I'm happy to give them $15 a year for this.
I might become a baseball fan once again with this thing. That's great. Even can you pick your favorite team? I can pick my favorite team.
Exactly. You tell what your favorite team is, even if it's one of those teams that you really shouldn't be following because they're all money-grubbing bastards. But
like the Yankees, maybe.
I didn't say anything. Yes. So as a matter of fact, you can define multiple favorite teams. So, for instance, I just have the Red Sox in mind, but if I wanted to have my favorite National League teams added to that list, I can just add this to the list. Like, I have nostalgia for the Cubs, so I've just added the Cubs to my list.
That's cool.
So I'll be finding out every time that they lose. And you can also change priorities. There are a lot of nice, it's a very, very nicely done thing. You can also turn off. I've got notifications here, and so you can easily turn on and off a bunch of different features. So, for instance, you can tell it to. I've just turned notifications back on. So for the Boston Red Sox, I can tell it that I just want to know what don't tell me when the game's starting or ending. Just tell me what the final score is when the game.
That is cool. I like that.
Or you can even just tell it if it is like a playoff game, or if the Sox are playing the Yankees, you can have it just say every time there is an event, every time there's a run scored, let me know about it. Or every time there's an event or a new game video, let me know about it. And you can be as good. So that could be the most fun you've ever had when your spouse or mother has forced you to go to a family wedding instead of watching a really great game on TV. Because you'll be, as long as you're discreet with the headset, you'll definitely be plugged into the game for the entire afternoon.
and then you can go to the wedding, and then right after that you can go to the divorce.
Yeah. and now when the teacher takes away your transistor radio, she's taking your iPhone.
She takes my son's iPhone away.
Does she?
Yeah, my son uses his iPhone. He's just Googling. He's Googling schoolwork.
Doing that. Yeah, sure he is. Hey, my pick is something that I should have picked a long time ago. Houdini7, who is in our chat room, is an iPhone developer and has updated the Twit app. So this is a free app. You can get it from the App Store. Just
it's great.
For Twit. It is really
so
great. And the
good.
new one is even better, and I think this is probably a step in his development towards the iPad app. It allows you to listen in real time. In fact, you can see we're going right now. We're on Twit. You can also chat while you listen. It'll log you right into the web-based version of our chat.
And that's giving you the log of the IRC?
Yeah, that's cool. The IRC chat. You see my nickname is iPhone Leo, and if I connect, I'll be right in the chat server while you're listening. He's got some nice new features, by the way. There we are in chat. He's got some nice new features, including, I'm very happy to say, video. So here's the recent Twit audio, the audio archive. If you pick a show that has video, there'll be a video archive as well, so you can watch a downloadable video. There's bookmarks, of course, to all the shows, and to ODTV, which tapes the shows. You can set your time zone and so forth. But if you go right here to the front page where it shows the current calendar of broadcasts and press the live video button, this does exactly what Andy was talking about, which launches a QuickTime streams, so it will continue to run in the background as you do anything else. Very nice job from Houdini7. We really appreciate Houdini7 doing this for us absolutely free. And as I said, even though I don't pay him, I think we're going to have to send this guy an iPad so he can develop on the iPad for us.
He needs to send me an email. I need
ShiftKeySoftware.com.
Okay.
All right.
ShiftKey Software.
Yeah, really nice. And by the way, I'm still in the chat room as iPhone Leo, so be kind, be nice. And as you can see, we're still going through the old version of us. Now, that's one app. As long as we're talking about free apps, I mentioned that if they ever put Farmville on the iPad or the iPhone, I'd be in deep trouble. Well, we're getting pretty close. This is from New Toy. This is a game called We Rule, and if you like Farmville, you'll like it a lot. This is absolutely free. It is very social. You invite your friends and so forth. I'm Chief Twit. If you want to play with me, I can go over here to my farm, and let's see. Oh, I've got some harvesting to do. I've got wheat that I've raised. Oh, wait a minute. My wheat crop died. Oh, that's such bad news. I'm going to have to plant some more wheat, or maybe some corn over here. Here, let's plant some corn, and that's sad. You see, you got to pay attention. It gives you notifications on the front page of your iPhone when your wheat is ready. So very important that you, and you can use Mojo to harvest or to grow faster. But if you use your Mojo, you'll run out of Mojo, and then you got to buy more Mojo. Hooray! My wheat is ready, and I can do that. You can also decorate. It's got all sorts of things you can do on here, building, decorating. It's very much like The Sims or Civ or anything like that. But you can see very much influenced by Farmville. And once I get to level 4, I'll be able to redesign everything. Pretty impressive. There are ads in it, but very unobtrusive. So if you have a hankering to waste even more time with your iPhone, and Geo-Defense Swarm, and Plants vs. Zombies aren't doing it, this is called We Rule, a free application for the iPhone. That's really quite a bit of fun. I'll plant some corn over here. There you go. And some corn there. There we go. And I'm going to try that wheat one more time, because wheat is such a great product. There you
Unless you're, can't process it very well.
That's right.
Kind of careful, Leo.
This is a gluten-free wheat I raised just for you on my...
Genetically modified?
Genetically modified. So you got little settlers and everything. So a couple of free apps for you. The Twit app, which I highly recommend if you listen to this show. You can listen live. You can also watch and listen to shows after they're done via audio and video directly through the app. And then it is Twit approved. Both of those available in the iPhone App Store or iPod Touch App Store. Oh, my God, harvest my corn. Don't mind me. I'm just going to keep farming. So thank you, Alex. Lindsay, the pixelcore.com is the place to go to find out more about it. Alex's multimedia group of artists working and learning. Met somebody at South by Southwest who's working with Africa. He's a Nigerian. He's working with Africa to do the same kind of thing, and I want to hook you two up.
You should.
Very interesting what you're doing there.
I'd love to talk to him.
Yeah.
What was his name? Remember?
I have it written down somewhere. I don't.
Was it Manny? Emmanuel?
It was not Manny. But he didn't know of all the stuff you're doing. What country are you mostly in? Zimbabwe?
Zimbabwe is what we spend most of the time in, but I'm also going to be in I've done some work in Tanzania and Kenya. Rwanda we're looking at. Uganda.
I heard
Ghana.
you're doing more.
Yeah, well, we're working on it. Everything's in proposal stage right now, but we're hoping to actually get some brick and mortar set up in one of those countries soon.
That's very exciting.
I'll be speaking at the e-learning conference in Zambia at the end of May, just in case you're there. If you're there, you can come by.
Pixelcore.com, pixelcore.tv for the podcasts. The NAB podcasts are coming soon. Somebody's telling me there's a game on the iPhone called Zombie Farm, which combines the two. I might stay away from that.
I got it. I haven't played it yet. I'm afraid of even opening it.
Zombie Farm. Mr. Chris Breen, we love having you on the show. You're the greatest. You can read Chris's stuff, of course, in the Fabulous Macworld magazine on newsstands and online.
Right. And I'll put in a plug for my screencasting for the Mac from lynda.com that came out just a while ago.
Superb. Super.
Yes.
Wonderful.
They did a great job.
Wonderful. Andy Ihnatko is at the Chicago Sun-Times, and his website is cwob.com. He'll be getting the iPad any day now. Make sure you keep an eye peeled.
Any day within March or April.
As will I. Thank you all for joining us. I think it only fitting that we should try Sue from the Black Country to wrap up this show from Searpro.
Break time is over. Now get back to work.
As soon as I finish my burrito.
We need like a little MacBreak dude to do some break
I'll
dancing.
tweet. We are on a we're recording the show on a 5-minute burrito delay.
And people might read that the wrong way
because of FCC guidelines. 5-minute electronic burrito delay.
We're sorry for the time you spent on the tarmac this morning, but our pilot is eating a breakfast burrito.
We should be able to get the show launched in about 10 minutes. We'll give you updates as new condiments develop.
That's very good. You must have spent some time flying, my friend.
In the meantime, your flight attendants will leave the cabin door open so that you can watch me eat.